Scott Talley here at the worldwide headquarters of Network in Action with Mr. Charles Heinzelman, one of our most, if not, no, most successful, let me rephrase that, most successful franchise owner here in the first 9 years. Charles is in Central Texas. Good morning.
Good morning, Scott. How are you?
Good. How was your trip to Cabo? It looked over the top.
Oh, it was amazing. Came back to this weather, because you're living in it yourself, and there it was 70 to 80, sunny every day, but it was expensive. Cabo is basically Southern California,
Yeah. Well, a guy making your kind of money can't afford it. It looked awesome.
It was, I'm not going to lie.
So we're going to go and start in the beginning. I don't really recall how you found Network in Action or how we found you. Can you refresh my memory?
Yeah, I think you had given me a call, and we had had a couple discussions on that. And you planted a seed in my mind that continued to germinate, whether it was from myself watering it or you watering it as well. But it was really, how many hours was I spending and what was I getting out of where I was? And, did I see a value in that? That was really kind of the proposition, if I break it down succinctly. And what I realized was over a short period of time, especially when I was driving a lot, no, there wasn't that value there. And especially coming from more of a B2B versus a B2C venue, other networking opportunities out there really focused on the B2C. I needed more of that B2B, and I wanted to bring value to people as well that I didn't feel like I was doing.
Yeah, that's right. I had come across you on LinkedIn as a leader in B&I. Now I'm remembering it's come back to me. So you were by title area director, area developer.
I was a director. The area director was Greg, and I reported directly to him.
And you had a full-time job, which you still
did. Yes. Yeah.
And so you were volunteering in a paid position. But I remember I came to Austin and we sat down, and I think you told me your last check was around $380 or something, and you had to pay your own tolls. I think I remember.
Yeah, between tolls and gas, I was just about breaking even. And I remember we met up at Salt Trader.
Yeah, great restaurant.
Yeah, out here, and that was a really good time. And that was kind of where I think we were sold. I think that's when I decided, I need to make a decision. And if I could monetize, that value that I could bring, that would be even better.
Yeah. So we're going to back up again. So you've got a full-time gig with a company that you're involved with.
Yeah.
Family, how many children?
I've got 2 of my own, and I'm in a blended situation. So
you got your hands full with family. Got a full-time
sometimes
job,
more than others. Yeah.
And have purchased an entire area agreement for Network in Action. So of all of our franchise owners, you guys are running the most groups. I think you've got what?
We've purchased a total of 18, and we've got 13 up and running and 2 that we're in the launch and learn phase of.
Awesome. So we're about 2.5, 3 years in, aren't we?
Yeah.
All during COVID.
That's right. We started about, I think our first group launched 2 months before COVID. Our second group that we bought, that first initial 3, launched I think the week before everything went into lockdown. Yeah, is when we had launched that group. So it's been right in that range.
That's wild. So you, I'll never forget our dinner because I remember your phone was going crazy. And at one point I said, Charles, do you really think you have time to do this with your full-time job? Because it was 6:30 or 7 in the evening, if I remember right. And I was like, do you have time to really do this with your full-time job? And I'll never forget your reply. I don't know if you remember, but you said, these aren't calls for work. This is drama from B&I that I'm having to deal with as a volunteer in the evening.
Yeah. There was quite a bit of drama on that side as well. And I'm a person, I just don't have the time for drama. I mean, most people don't, and they'll say that, but they still foster the drama. Not me. I'm a, hey, resolve this. If I need to get involved, it's not going to be pretty for everybody. So you need to get taken care of. Yeah.
So I knew
remember that.
I knew at that meeting that your heart was in the right place, because in all fairness, you really were volunteering to help other business owners grow their business. I mean,
Yeah.
sure, in the back of your mind, you wanted to help grow your business, but you were giving way too much to not have your heart in that place where you really were trying to help others.
Oh yeah.
And so
I appreciate that.
So I guess the inspiration was this. Talk about your motivation around making the move to purchase this franchise.
My motivation really came a couple fold. There were a couple aspects to it. First was, I really thought there was a lot more that could have been done at BNI that was not. One of the things that really didn't sit well with me was the whole meeting, and this was preached from the top down. It's not about the members, it's about the visitors. It's all about the visitor experience. And I'm thinking, well, they're getting a free ride. We're the ones paying membership dues. We're the ones who have to pay to get trained, every 6 months, and leadership changes. And we're putting all this effort into it, but the meetings there's no value in the meetings for us. Everyone, after a while, if you've been to enough of them, you kind of lose focus a bit, right? And I was a president of 2 different chapters, and I would lose focus. I'm running the meeting, and that's not a good thing. So I know there's more value to be had that they weren't capitalizing on. I also thought it didn't seem fair that they would carve up the pie so many different ways to get as many seats in there as possible. And the one that always set poorly with me was we brought in an insurance person who sold all they could do is sell life insurance. But we already had a financial advisor in the group. We already had a property and casualty personal lines. They do life insurance as well. We had a health person. They did life insurance as well. They already had all these established relationships. And I knew that life insurance person wasn't going to have any success because everyone else had already dealt with these other people who already do life insurance as an add-on or addition to what their primary focus was. And I didn't like that either. And I just knew that there were so many different opportunities to bring, I keep saying opportunity, but it really is what it is. You got to capitalize on it though, to help businesses scale their business and be more successful. And really kind of mastermind, I think. I think you lose some of that masterminding opportunity, other networking organizations where we really focus on it. So those things all together really kind of drove it for me.
Yeah. So, wow. So fast forward and you've turned that $400 or so a month volunteer gig into a fairly profitable enterprise. I mean, aren't y'all up over 170, 75, 80 members at this point?
Yeah, I tell you, it's funny because every time I say a number, it changes. We just actually, funny enough, we had a BNI group that was kind of done with BNI, and I think we had about 80% of the group convert over to us.
Wow.
So yeah, that was great. It really jumped up some of our numbers out in one of our groups out there. So I want to say we're right in that plus or minus 200 range.
That's awesome. So you've got a partner helping you who also has a full-time job and and 4 kids, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Boy, he's got 3, and I think they're done. I saw the yard signs where she put up he had a vasectomy. So yeah, I think they're done at 3. But yeah, I brought him on. He was Justin Kessel's his name, and he was the one I brought on because he worked with me at BNI. He was my ambassador to my director. And so he's always been really strong. We all have strengths and weaknesses. One of his best strengths is in the recruiting side. He was always number 1 in the Central Texas BNI groups of bringing in the most visitors. And I thought, well, that's great because, I can run the meetings, I can handle some of the administrative stuff. I don't like it, but I can do it. And I could recruit some, but if I could really bring in somebody who could help recruit as well, that would amplify our numbers. And it definitely did so. Even through COVID, we were still growing. We grew a group during COVID. So, again, to me, when I see problems out there, I know that there's always solutions. I think there's opportunity in chaos, if you will. And so that's why I thought it'd be great to bring on a partner in that vein, because they could definitely help with some of the chaos of starting, and growing and working full time and having a family and doing this and wanting this to be a primary focus. Yeah, you need some support. You've only got so much bandwidth, and bringing in that partner was very important.
And so where we typically have franchise owners that are out building the groups themselves, you guys have pioneered a whole entirely new and different way to do this. talk about recruiting some independent contractors who are helping y'all with groups as well.
Yeah, that was one of the bandwidth things that we had. And we gleaned a lot of our experiences from BNI and some other networking organizations that were more located out here in the greater Austin area. And that if we want to run all these groups, we can't run them all ourselves because you get pulled so many different ways. It's tough to recruit for 18 different groups and run 18 different groups in a month. There's only so many days in a week too. If you're doing it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, your primary time is that happy hour time. You've only got 16 groups you can run, in a month. And so we were struggling on that side. So we realized we needed help. And just like BNI had directors and they had, presidents who were running the chapters, we said we need to do something like that as well, but we're actually going to pay these people. And so we did. We put together, we ran the numbers, we put together a very nice compensation structure for these people that if they recruit, we incentivize them for them. We do that for all of our members as well, which I think is great too, because, they're doing the hard work of bringing the people in. If we add them into the system, we're making money on it. Let's share in that. So that way we don't have to do all the recruiting ourselves. That was one of the things that really helped us a lot. And then our group leads, as we call them, they run the groups and they're responsible for helping to grow that group as well with visitors. So they talk about visitors with the members and say, you don't have to, but if you do, we incentivize you for it. But our group leads are also responsible for bringing visitors in and helping convert those visitors as well. It just helps us, with a much bigger footprint there.
Yeah, what a novel idea. So you compensate people for their help. You don't require it. You don't require it, but you compensate it. And then you also have people who are really responsible for making sure the group's growing, and they're even compensated more. And
absolutely.
Talk a little bit about, you're an entrepreneur, man. You're an idea guy. As I've gotten to know you the last few years, you have a lot of great ideas. And yet you decided to purchase a franchise that sort of sticks you in a model. But talk about the freedom you have, you and Charles Justin have to make some decisions.
And this is being recorded, right?
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. It's one of the things we pride ourselves on is partnering with smart people and then letting them protect our brand, but go grow the thing. And you're doing that great.
Yeah, I will say this. You've given us a lot of leeway to beta some things out there. Which is the most important thing. I don't know if it would work for everybody what we do, because sometimes we failed as much as we've succeeded in areas. But we like to bring in additional value. So we've got, the key tenets that NIA provides, everything from, the rep man, guaranteed ROI, being involved in a charity every quarter, giving back there as well. We stick to all those. We're like, what else can we do that's going to bring value? So we brought in some additional things that we thought would benefit our members and help with that conversion there too. One of them is our social media day. And so one day a month, we'll set us part-time. We've got I think it's a 6K camera. I don't know all the technology on this. All I know is it shoots and records commercial grade, like example, commercial grade video that you can use, if you wanted to put on a TV commercial or Hulu commercial, whatever you have there. We shoot those videos. We do it in about 30 to 45 second slots. So you can put on your social media marketing. We don't watermark it or anything. We provide it directly to our members, but we do host it also on our YouTube channel. That's a huge value. Doing something like that. We've actually rented a room, a big green screen room as well, that's soundproofed and all that stuff. And we've got their microphones, which we use, again, high quality all the way across the board. It's the only way that would work is high quality. But by providing that value to our members, that's about $1,000 to $3,000 benefit to them. Because if they went out there and they priced themselves to shoot that same video, it's going to cost them that much money. And we take care of the editing there too. So that's one of the value adds that we brought on board. We also do some social events because we've got so many groups. We want to get them and convene them together. And that's one of the things we did as well that was really unique, especially in the networking space. If you're looking at an example like BNI, is that we encourage our members to attend the other groups. And the reason for that is now we've got a much larger community. They get much more value out of that. And that's because we come from a place of abundance, not scarcity. And we know that people are going to enjoy working with other people. So if you give them the opportunity to develop those relationships, then they're going to have a lot more success that way as well. So those are probably two of the bigger things that we've done that are not one of the key tenets of NIA, but we've had the freedom to do. and it's really benefited us as owners of multiple franchises.
And at the end of the day, that's sort of our philosophy, is to partner with smart people whose hearts are in the right places, and don't get in the way. You're not doing anything to hurt our brand. All you're doing is helping businesses. And you and I both know running a business today is so much more challenging than it used to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Business owners can come to one place and get some of these needs taken care of. It's been great. It's been so much fun down in here in Houston to watch what you guys are doing in Austin. You held a big gala last year that was wildly successful. And I love your events where you let some members speak once in a while about what their topics of experts on. Talk about that just for a minute.
Yeah, we during COVID, like right in the very beginning, one of the nice things is NIA was really already positioned in case something did happen like that. You were way ahead of the curve, and even in the PPP for members and things like that, I know we were way ahead. But we because of the technology stuff, we pivoted very quickly, and we were on Zoom immediately. That allowed us during that period of time even to grow a group, which I was shocked that we did that. We grew and launched a group during COVID. But one of the things we did then is we wanted to make sure we were staying engaged with our members. So we set up a weekly coffee conversation, and it's every Tuesday morning at 8:30 Central. And anyone who wants to can log on. We've had people log on. We put it out on Eventbrite and Meetup and things like that. So we've had people from Pakistan, Albania, China, across the world, literally logging into these coffee conversations. And that was great. And so it gives an opportunity to talk about something of value. And initially it was, we'd have a subject and we talk about it, almost like our breakout sessions during our meetings, but we would pick a topic. And then, eventually I thought, well, let's have some members talk about some things that they know to bring extra value, but also put the spotlight on them. So we've done that, and we really broadcast it out there on our social media platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, but also on Meetup and Eventbrite. And so we just had an individual talk last week named Dagan, and he did a great job. And he does supplemental health insurance, but he was really talking about networking because he's big involved in networking there. So he talked about networking, and I think we had 22, 23 people log on just to hear him talk about that. So we do draw a big audience there. A lot of them are members, but we also have a lot of visitors and guests. And the great thing there too is if you've got those visitors and guests, now you've got somebody to data mine, right? You've got somebody that you can start talking to. They see that we invite them to, especially if they're local, we invite them to a meeting. If they're not local, we try and plug them into a meeting with a franchise owner out in that area. And we've done that a couple times too, especially out in the Seattle area. And so we'll do that. They'll come into a meeting. They're usually very impressed. They saw the coffee conversation through that meeting and they've joined. And I think we've had that happen, 4 or 5 times, in 6 months. And that's freebie stuff right there.
Yeah.
That's easy lay down stuff. So and those actually tend to be some of our better members for some reason. I don't know why, but those are the members that get the most out of it. It seems like they're engaged right from the beginning.
So you guys also piloted in the early days. We built our groups by picking up the phone and calling people.
Yeah.
And then we had one franchise owner who was just going to a bunch of networking meetings. And all of a sudden, I remember asking you guys, like, how the heck are you going to grow 8, 10, 12, 18 groups at one time? And that was the early stages of our launch and learn. So talk a little bit about what you guys do to recruit members.
Absolutely. And nothing wrong with calling and dialing and talking to people. We do that. We talk to people on the phone, but we usually already have a commonality. We're not like cold calling on that side there, because what we wanted to do is our initial vision was buy the first franchise, grow 3 groups, and then continue to grow, and then pretty much own the whole Central Texas area. And we've done that mostly by growing holistically here, purchasing and growing. We did buy out the one franchise owner out here as well, as you know. So now we own this whole area, but we don't have enough time to just cold call to build 13, 18 groups. There's just not enough hours in the day. So we figured we really need to be as efficient as possible. And I love efficiencies. So what we would do is we would host these networking events. We'd call them lunch and learns. We'd post them on Eventbrite, Meetup, on Facebook. And we'd invite people that we've met from other networking opportunities that we had out there, chambers and things like that. We'd invite them there, and we'd do a lunch and learn. And it was really just kind of what you put together already in your PowerPoint, intro to NIA part. We did that, but we just did it to a bunch of people. And then we would hand out the apps right there. That's the biggest thing is you gotta just take that assumptive approach that everyone's gonna sign, right? So we'd pass out the apps and we tell them, hey, you get your spot right now, you'll be a founding member, of this group. And so as a founding member, this is back in the days, you'd get Repman for free if you were one of the first 12. So we really pitched that hard, and that really worked quite well. And then what we would do is we'd do another launch and learn after that. We'd get 3 or 4 members there, and then we'd do another one, get another 3 or 4. But the people that would sign up, that were one of those founding members, we'd make them come to these meetings too. Well, not make them, of course, but tell them, hey, we highly encourage you to do that, because now you got an opportunity to network with these new people. That's what they're there for anyway. There's no cost to you yet. And, bring some visitors and guests, because if you do, we can grow this and launch this really quickly and make the magic happen. So they would do that as well. So now we're not the only ones doing the hard work. They're doing the hard work. And that's when we actually came up with the idea of incentivizing these people. Because one of the old adages my father taught me a long time ago is people do what you pay them to do. And so we said, we're making this much money on a person. So let's give this much away. We're still making this much, and we're not having to work as hard to get this.
Exactly.
And so that's what we did. We would actually give away initially, we started off at $100 a month, so about half the application fee. And then we upped that to $200, that application fee. We give them a $200, upfront bonus on that person if they came and joined, because we raised our fees and things like that. It made more sense to do that as well, because we made more money. And that's a heck of an ROI, I mean, that's a 10x right there on somebody. And I'll do that all day long. Someone brings me a guest who joins, I'll stroke a check for $200 if I'm getting, 2,400 back in return. And so we did that. And that's really helped with our launch and learns. It wasn't just us inviting people. We were using Eventbrite. We were using Meetup. We were using our existing members to come in. And actually, when we had a couple groups up and going, we would encourage our members from other groups to come over. The only thing that we said is, hey, we'll buy the drink and the app. You have an opportunity to network with these people as well, even before the group launches. All we want you to do is give a testimonial and talk to people afterwards if they have some questions, and that worked great as well. So it made it a lot more efficient and a lot easier for us.
Yeah, you guys have just pioneered and piloted so many different things. This is a 2-part question. Mm-hmm. Usually I ask, and let's start with this one. Think of a member story, some member that's just benefited greatly from the Network in Action member. And I was also thinking about maybe one of your leaders, maybe one of your people who's been able to make some extra money and how it's changed their life.
Oh, sure. And it's funny, as soon as you said that, I had 2 people pop right into mind. We've had a lot of great stories, but the story I'll share with you is a gentleman named Cyril Algier. He's actually a really good friend of mine. Now he was at my dinner party, my birthday surprise party I had this weekend. I didn't even know it was happening, but that was all set up, and he was there. He's become a really good friend. When he first came to our group, he joined our second group that we launched, the one that happened right before COVID, and I was on the fence about letting him be a member. All the boxes were checked. 3+ years experience in this industry. He was a decision maker, high-ranking manager. So we always wanted high-ranking managers who had decision-making capability, or the owner. Because if it's not one of those 2 people, you always get that, well, I got to talk to them, see if they'll pay for it, or they can't really make decisions and things like that.
They get fired or they leave the company.
Yeah, and then you got to figure out what you're doing with that. Yeah, so exactly. So we always wanted those people. So he met all the criteria we had. My concern was what he did. He worked for a company that did high-end SEO and website and web application development. And I learned there's a difference between website and web applications. So many things I learned from this guy. And I was like, well, how high-end? And his entry was about minimum. His low end was between $25,000 to $30,000. And I thought, it's going to be tough to guarantee that ROI. I don't know if you're going to get any value out of it. And I know it's funny because we had this conversation just not long ago. He's like, hey, you remember this? I'm like, yeah, I do. He said, you told me that you were worried about the guaranteed ROI. And I told you, just give me the opportunity. I'm not worried. I know I can be successful with this. And you did. And he said, but I know you were worried. And I said, heck yeah, I was. And so after his first year, he was a member of BNI as well. And that's when BNI started making that push. Hey, you can't be a member of both groups, right? You got to pick one or the other, which that's a whole nother set of stories on that and how I don't like that either, which is why I'm glad I left BNI. But Big Brother's watching kind of thing. But he left BNI completely because he told me that NIA accounted for 20% of the overall business of his company here in the greater Austin area. Wow. And I said, what's that number look like? And he said, oh, well north of $200,000. And I said, so we met the guaranteed ROI. He's like, oh yeah, we blew it away. He was completely impressed. And he said, awesome. It wasn't, he goes, it's not just the members in the groups. Remember that. It's who they know and who they can refer you to. Yes. And the what makes him successful with that, I tell everybody, I said, if you can't be successful with what you do, it's on you. It's not on us. Because if he can be successful with it, you can too, especially with what he did. And what he did is he just engaged. He did his one-to-ones. He went to the group meetings. He went to other group meetings. He brought value. He wasn't trying to sell people. He was a great resource for individuals. And he became very easily referable from there as well. So that I would say is probably one of the best stories I've experienced out there personally, because I have been in there. One of our group leads, Mandy Botts, she's great. She's got this great personality. She's a realtor, so everyone knows at least 100 of them, right? And she runs 2 strong groups for us, and she's phenomenal. I love her. And when she first joined, she was with Keller Williams, and she was a top real estate agent in the area already, but she never had any kind of online review system. Nothing. So we set her up with RepMan. And so she's like, she didn't even understand it, but we set her up with it. And it's funny, as we said, hey, send out that bit.ly link to some of the people who are, clients of yours, and, have them write a review, and, pick 5 or 10 and do it this month. And let's just see what happens. So she goes, okay, I'll do that. So she sent it out. She got 5 reviews. She got 5 5-star reviews. That's always tough for me to say 5, right? 5 5-star reviews. And that next month, I remember it was in April, she got a call, and this lady's like, hey, I want to use you as my real estate agent. I'm selling my home. I want you to list it for me. And she's, great. Who referred you? Because she always asks that, because she always sends out like a little gift or something. And she said, oh, no one. I found you online. And she said, wait, you found me online? She said, yeah, I looked around. You are the only real estate agent in my area that has 5-star reviews. So I want to choose you. So she got the listing just from the RepMan. And so she touts it all the time to everybody, of course. And that listing was a $600,000 home. But this is also when the market was going crazy in Austin, I think everywhere as well. They actually ended up selling it for $720,000. And she got the commission on that, all because of RepMan. And so she says, I'm sold. I love NIA. If nothing else, that's a guaranteed ROI for me right there, right? And people don't think about that too. They're always thinking, oh, it's referrals just from other members. Right. But sometimes it's multi-generational referrals. It's referrals of referrals of referrals that you're getting business from. And the reputation management, that online review, people get business from that. And they have to remember that's because of the value that NIA brought to them. That's right. And the reviews they get from the members from NIA as well.
Awesome story. I follow her on Facebook, and she's a ball of life. She's awesome.
Oh yeah, right? Yeah, awesome. She really is.
What would you say to somebody who was thinking about purchasing a franchise? I mean, what would be your advice to them based on your experience?
I'll tell you, my experience has been, I can't think of, except for a handful of other franchise owners who've gone through the same experiences we have. You buy a franchise, you get it going, and then the pandemic hits. And I've never seen anything like that in my lifetime. Hope I never do again. But, and that's a lot of businesses were shuttering and stuff. And we had a lot of success stories come from, that time period where they would have been out of business. But if it weren't for, and I mean this in all sincerity, if it wasn't for NIA, they probably would have been. But because the members really came together and were successful, referring each other and doing business online and staying connected, and sometimes just being there for them, let alone all the value we brought with, we had so many members access PPP, and they were in the front lines of it, where everyone else was trying to get the scraps at the end because you'd set everything up there. So a lot of value there, but we went through some very troubling times, and we persevered and we were successful because we didn't try to reinvent the wheel. We didn't want to, there's always those people who want to fight, want to talk about fight every little thing. It's like, just do it. You can be successful. Just don't get in your own way.
Yeah.
Get out of your own way and you're going to go so much further. And I'm a firm believer in that. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. And there's we talk about masterminding so often, and we implement it, but we need to incorporate that into our own business as well. So we mastermind with other franchise owners and see what they're doing and how the success is leading there. You've got your calls, definitely plug into those and listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy how, you build a model like we did in the beginning, and then we find people like you all who go off and pilot something completely different. You were the first ones to jump in. Now you've led to another area developer up in the Virginia, Delaware area.
Good.
And it looks like another one from South Florida. So I always appreciate, your effort, your genius, your willingness to try new things, and it always work. We both have had times where we're like, oh, how do we do that? But you keep pushing forward, and you've certainly found the formula, you and Justin. So congratulations. Let me end with this. And I usually ask this in 3 parts, but you're not a big vacation guy. We've already talked about, you just got back from a great trip in Cabo, but you're a hard worker. You enjoy your life. But like on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you say, 10 being great, that you're able to influence the amount of money you're bringing into your organization, your income?
Ooh, that's a good question there. And first off, I actually did some work on my vacation. Yeah, I did. I had to log on and do some work and stuff like that. And also, I appreciate the genius comment, but I think genius is just defined by perseverance and hard work. I don't think you have to be smart. This is for everyone else out there. You don't have to be smart to be successful here. You just have to put in some effort, and follow the script. And if you do that, you can be very successful there as well. I would say that number would probably be about an 8.5 to 9, because again, I put in a lot of hard work and effort. We do have other people that are working out there as well, and they put in a lot of hard work and effort. And it would be a 10 if I could find the perfect formula to find the perfect people all the time. But no one has that, right? In
any business, that's right.
Yeah, you're always going to have those people that were just either the wrong member or the wrong group lead. That's going to happen, but just because it happens doesn't deter us from doing it again, right?
Yeah. So I think I know the answer to this last question, but because I see how much you're doing in this area. But as everyone knows, we like to do something charitable. But beyond the charity thing, just you get up every day and you go to work. Where is it on a scale of 1 to 10 of giving you personal value about what you're giving back?
I will tell you what, I'll put it this way. I had a person who left our groups, completely left. It wasn't the right fit for them. And I agreed with them. They put in the effort, they did their year, they did their time, all that stuff. They didn't commit to all the one-to-ones, but they kind of knew already, but they did see value in what we were doing, and they enjoyed the meetings. And so they left, we left on good terms. And I always hate that, because I'm like, man, is there anything I could have done different that would have made them successful? Because I'm a person, I want to know it wasn't me, right? It might be selfish, but it allows me to sleep better at night. I want to know it wasn't me that failed them. And I got a card in the mail, which is weird enough, getting something that wasn't an email or anything like that. It was a handwritten card, and it was on there just saying, hey, I want to let you know you did everything, loved everything you did. I think you guys are great. You provide so much value, and I have nothing but great things. I'm actually referring somebody to NIA right now. Just wasn't a good fit for me. You agreed with it, and and I hope that we can stay friends. That pretty much tells you I'm not getting anything out of it, but that card, I save things like that. I've got my thank you, folder, and that meant a lot to me, just because it's like, I'm bringing value to people, even if it's not directly related to the business. They saw value in what we were doing, and that's all I need. Well, that validates everything.
Yeah, anyone that's been around Central Austin and has seen y'all's journey and seen the value you're adding to so many businesses, from Dripping Springs to Lakeway to Central Austin, and just really Central Texas. It's unbelievable. And I think that comes across on this video. So I really appreciate you taking a few minutes. And
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you. I enjoyed the time. It's always fun to talk.
Yeah, man, you're a great man. I appreciate you being on your team. Thank you, Charles.
Hey, thank you.
Have a good holiday. Bye-bye.
You too.